From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Altaji. It's Friday, April 4th. Here are today's headlines. Hundreds of thousands of Gazans are seeking shelter after one of the biggest mass displacements of the war. The movement of thousands in southern Gaza comes as Israeli forces advanced into Rafah as part of its plan to seize more territory. Earlier this week, Israel announced it would expand operations in Gaza. Part of that plan includes the formation of a new corridor that will break up Gaza's south. It's a significant escalation nearly 1 month after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas ended.
The new corridor is a significant development in Israel's renewed fighting in Gaza.
The National's Thomas Helm reports from Jerusalem.
Corridors like this have been used throughout the war to block the movement of Palestinians and extend Israeli military presence over the Strip to facilitate their operations. The Israeli military said on Thursday that the new corridor was going to help them distinguish between civilians and combatants in their future operations. It didn't elaborate on how this would be the case.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the new route the Morag Corridor, named after a Jewish settlement that once stood between Rafah and Khan Yunis.
There are also fears that their new presence in this corridor is the precursor to dividing up the Strip and making it not one whole body, but a series of sections. Dividing the Strip in this manner would make it far easier for Israeli long-term military control and occupation of the Strip. It would isolate Hamas in pockets and allow Israel to have a great deal more control over aid distribution.
This week, Palestinian media reported a large wave of strikes on Rafah and Khan Yunis while Israeli troops were pushing into Rafah. The Israeli military ordered the eviction of large parts of both areas where the army had not sent ground troops before.
Within Israel, there's been a lot of criticism from hostage families about the increase in military action. They fear that more fighting endangers the hostages, even though Israel's leadership is so keen to stress that this new round of fighting is in large part to get the hostages back by putting military pressure on Hamas and therefore compelling them to get back into negotiations to release the hostages. It's not a line of reasoning that has convinced many in Israel's protest movement to get hostages out.
Hungary is leaving the International Criminal Court. That announcement came on Thursday as Israel's Netanyahu landed for his first visit to Europe since the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for him in November over allegations of war crimes in Gaza.
You have, in your leadership, have done remarkable things for Israel and the Jewish people. And you've just taken a bold and principled position on the ICC, and I thank you, Victor.
The move is a break by Hungary from the rest of the European Union and an open defiance by the country of the EU's pro-ICC stance. Member countries of the ICC are required to detain suspects facing a warrant if they set foot on their soil, but the court has no way to enforce that and relies on states to comply with its rulings. Article 127 of the Rome Statute, which is the founding text of the ICC, says that parties can withdraw by written notification to the UN Secretary General. But a European Commission representative said withdrawal only takes effect 1 year after notification, and it doesn't affect the state's duty of cooperation. Hungary invited Netanyahu immediately after the ICC issued its arrest warrant on charges including using starvation as a method of warfare and crimes against humanity, such as murder. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has described the warrant as shameful, outrageously impudent, and cynical.
Foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American
Gulf
dream
Cooperation
that
Council countries were largely spared from U.S. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs on Wednesday. But analysts say indirect effects of U.S. tariffs are likely to have the biggest impact on GCC members. The White House announced 10% reciprocal tariffs on the UAE and Saudi Arabia. It said the two countries charge the U.S. a similar amount.
So we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset?
Stocks dipped dramatically after Trump announced the reciprocal tariffs on these and other countries. But the tariffs imposed on GCC states represented the lowest of those announced. Other countries in the Middle East and North Africa that were hit with reciprocal tariffs included Israel at 17%, Tunisia at 28%, Jordan at 20%, and Egypt and Morocco each at 10%. A White House official said the tariffs will go into effect on April 9th. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow live updates at our site. Yasmin Al-Taji, The National.